In the gospel text of today, taken from John chapter 12, verses 44 to 50, Jesus speaks about where he has come from. We go back to the beginning of the gospel in chapter 3, verse 16, when we were told that God so loved the world that he sent his only Son. God sent his Son into the world not to condemn the world, but that the world might be saved through him. In these verses in chapter 12, Jesus reiterates that the one who believes in his word believes not in his word, but in the word of the one who was sent. Jesus is therefore the ambassador of the Father. Jesus is therefore the representative of the Father. Jesus is therefore the revelation of the Father. And so, people were privileged that to see Jesus would mean to have seen the Father. However, what is sad is that Jesus speaks about the fact that there are some who refuse to believe in him. And the reason why they refuse to believe in him is because of this warped image of God that they had. They could not believe that the God whom they believed in was a God who came to serve. They could not believe that a God whom they believed in was a God who came to give and to be at the mercy of others. Their God was powerful. Their God was almighty. Their God was up there in the heavens. And when God really came down on earth and lived among them and pitched his tent among them, as the prologue of John says, they could not accept and they could not believe. And so once again, Jesus makes an appeal to people of his time and to each one of us to realize that if we keep fixing our minds and our hearts, and if we are rigid in our approach to any situation, the revelation that keeps being made by God is a revelation that we will miss. This attitude which we have sometimes of blinding ourselves to things which we cannot accept or do not want to accept is an attitude which will result in our missing out on so much that life has to offer. And so these verses are calling us to openness. These verses are calling us to receptivity. These verses are calling us to say that while we may know many things, there are still many more things that we do not know. Will I remain open to whatever revelation God will make to me today? Will I realize that God will reveal himself not only in the manner in which I expect him to reveal himself, but in any other manner which he decides?